Hey there, Saki here from SAKITECH, and in today's video I want to share 10 amazing tips and tricks for your Samsung Galaxy S9 or S9 Plus to enhance your ownership of your awesome smartphone. So let's dive in and discover some amazing tips that you will not learn anywhere else. And before we dive in, if you are wondering what case I'm using for my Galaxy S9 Plus, see the link in the description box down below to go and check it out. It's fantastic. Alright, let's dive in. Alright, so this tip has to do with the multitasking panel. So basically when you press the recents key, you get the multitasking windows and you can scroll through each one of them and you get a little bit of a preview of all of them. But in my opinion, this takes too much space on the screen per one window. Now what a lot of people do not know is that you can actually have a different style of previews on the screen as opposed to this card style view. So all you do is you tap on this button here and you go from the thumbnail view, which is what this is called, into the actual list view, and then you get this beautiful little nice and minimalistic design on the screen instead of the actual thumbnail previews. And of course, many of the things you can do with the rest of the phone when you have the thumbnail previews can also be done here. So if you want to get rid of an actual window, you can just slide it over. If you want to start multitasking, you tap on that multitasking button. And then of course you can pick the other app that is running in the background and just go to the app list from here. Not a big deal. Now you will notice some windows have extra options at the bottom over here. For example, the Chrome has a bunch of extra options. It's got the closing option. It's got the button to start multitasking. So if you tap that button, as you know, you can start the multitasking process just like that. And also happens to have one more arrow over here that you can tap, which is going to expand everything. And from here you can do a bunch of other things. Again, you can do a snap window. So if you tap this, that's going to start the multitasking pane. It's going to allow you to snap a portion of this window. And when you click done, the remainder is for the other app that you're going to choose from here or the app list. When you're back here and you tap on this icon, you do have this button which is called the app pinning button. You can tap on the app pinning. And that's going to pin the window, so when you give this phone to somebody else, they're not going to be able to exit from the actual window unless they press and hold the back button and the recents at the same time. So that's just a bonus tip in case you did not know about it. But the real thing I want to talk about in this video is the list view as opposed to this thumbnail view, which I prefer, of course, the list view over the thumbnail view. Alright, so first and foremost, I want to give you a quick bonus tip before I go to the main tip. Basically, when you bring in the edge panels over here, now you may or may not know about the edge panels. If you do not know about the edge panels, I'll drop a link down below to the full tutorial so you can understand exactly how to work with the edge panels here. But if you do know about the edge panels, I just want to show you another view in which you can actually have the edge panels. So this is a standard view right over here. You swipe from screen to screen, but there is a button over here. Those three lines, if you tap those buttons, it gives you a quick access, a quick preview of all the edge panels, and I think that this just makes it easier to pick the panel that you desire to use. So instead of going in here and swiping over to the calculator, what I could have done if I had more panels is I could have just tapped this guy, look at the preview, and boom, I'm right at the required edge panel. Okay, so don't forget this nice little edge panel view over here. Now let's move on to the main tip. The main tip has to do with copy and paste and the clipboard functionality that is built into the Samsung Galaxy S9 and the S9 Plus. And of course possibly to the Note 8, S8 and the S8 Plus because they did receive the Oreo updates. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me launch a website here. So here's just one website. Let me just copy a text. Let's copy this text. And we do this often. We copy and paste text all the time. So when you copy a text, then you can actually go, let me just create a new window here. You can go over here and you can paste that text. You can paste that text anywhere in a text message, on a web browser, whatever, right? So we use copy and paste all the time. Now the good thing is with the Samsung, you have a built-in clipboard that saves all your copy and pastes for the day. So you don't have to just copy and paste one time. You can copy multiple things and paste them one by one if you so desire. So I just copied this over here, Hawaii's Rock By. Let's say I also go down, I want to copy something else. Let's say I want to copy this area here. Let's just copy the whole paragraph by selecting it. So if I copy this, now I don't have to paste that immediately. I'm not going to lose it because it's already saved into the clipboard. I'm going to show you how to access the clipboard. Let's copy one more thing over here. Let's copy this. Okay, just a little bit, copy. Now when you bring up the keyboard, you have a clipboard over here that you can tap, and that actually saves all your copies. So you can use them over and over and over. And if you do want to use one of these guys, for example, let's say I want to paste this over to the bar over here. I just tap this, boom, the whole thing gets pasted right over here. If I wanted to paste this, that one gets pasted over here. So these are some fantastic tricks. Now, if you don't see the clipboard option here, tap the bottom arrow, and it might be sitting over here, and then you can grab and drag and drop the option that you want to use in its proper location. Okay, so you can you may have more options based on your carrier, you may have less options, but you are going to have the clipboard for sure. So you tap that clipboard to bring up all the copies you've done before. All right, so let's move on to the next tip and learn even more. All right, so this tip might specifically be applicable to the S9 Plus instead of the S9 because the S9 Plus has a larger screen, so it is harder to use it with one hand. The S9 is a little bit smaller, so it's a little bit easier to use it, but this tip I'm going to share with you guys is available on both smartphones. Basically, it allows you to use the phone with one hand by actually reducing the size of the overall screen. So let me show you how that works. The first thing you want to do is you want to actually go and enable this. This is called the one-handed mode. So if you go to the settings and if you go into the advanced features, you'll see that the one-handed mode is right over here. You can disable or enable it. And if you tap it and go inside, it gives you the options on how to activate the one-handed mode. So I don't like the gesture option. I like the button option. So basically you can tap on the home button 3 times and that is going to reduce the size of the screen. So let's do that really quickly. Let's say that you were sitting somewhere and you had the phone in your hand, in one hand, and you were trying to use it, and it's hard. So all you do is tap the home button 3 times, and the screen gets actually minimized. And of course, if you are left-handed, you can left justify the screen. But if you're using it with your right hand, you can tap this arrow, and it's going to right justify it. And anytime you want to bring it back to the normal, actual large screen, you can tap here and it gets maximized, okay? You can also tap this guy to go into the settings of the one-handed mode to make modifications on the fly. But again, basically, let me justify it on this side. And you can do everything over here that you can do with the regular phone in full screen size. So that's absolutely fantastic. So I can go anywhere here. I can launch the camera, use the camera. I can use any app. Everything just works flawlessly. There's going to be no errors. And again, when you're done, you tap here, boom, you're back in business to the normal size. This is an absolutely fantastic software tactic. Now, I'm assuming most people are going to reduce the size of the screen just to actually use the keyboard properly. There's actually another way to minimize the size of the keyboard, but keep the screen maximum. So let me show you how that works. Let me just go to Chrome here. Let me just bring up the actual keyboard. What you want to do is you want to tap on this arrow on the corner of the keyboard, tap it, let it drop down, and there's a one-handed keyboard option. You can tap on this guy as well, and this time instead of minimizing the entire screen, it's going to minimize the actual keyboard so you can actually type with one hand much easier. And again, if you want to use your right hand, you tap this arrow to right justify the whole thing. Or you can go back, or you can just go full screen. As you can see, this is also quite amazing. All right, so let's move on to the next tip and learn even more. All right, so this tip has to do with your lock screen. Now, before I show you the actual tip, I'm going to show you a quick bonus tip before that. So if you do go to the lock screen right now, and if you turn the phone on, if you tap on the actual clock, it actually expands and gives you a nice digital clock with the date underneath it. All right, so you can tap on the clock anytime and they'll come right up. Now let's go inside the settings and talk about the actual tip I wanted to share with you as the tip of the day. And of course, that also has to do with the lock screen. So basically what I want to share with you guys is you can go in and you can customize this clock over here, including the styling and colors. So let's do that right now. So what you want to do is you want to go to the settings. You want to go to lock screen and security at the bottom over here. and then just scroll down a little bit and go to clock and face widgets. If you tap on this guy, on the top you're going to see clock style. You tap on that. You may have two options available. You may have the always on display and the lock screen, and you do want to go to the lock screen. Once you're here, it's very simple. Basically what you have at the bottom here is you have all these different clock styles. So if you tap this button, it'll come right up. You can pick these different clock styles as you please, and you have all these beautiful options. Let me show you all of them. So you got this guy, you got analog styles here. You've got that one over here, pretty fancy. And you have the one that I use all the time, which is one of my favorites. Now after you pick a type, you can also pick a color. So if you tap on the color icon, from here you have some preset colors. They're light and easy colors. I don't like these colors. What I prefer to do is I like to go all the way down over here, tap on this color wheel, and pick the color that I actually want to use. So you can pick purple, blue, green, red, whatever. Okay, so let's do purple over here just to highlight the difference. Click done, and as you can see, that has changed into a purple clock. Okay, and then let's just pick a different style over here again to highlight the difference. Let's pick this one here, also one of my favorites. But let me go to the color and let me pick a more pronounced color that can be seen over green. There we go. Click apply, and now when you go to the lock screen, you'll see that new color styling over here. And if you tap on this guy again, it's going to expand no problem. Alright, so let's move on to the next tip and learn even more. So now we're going to be talking about the app pinning option. So basically the reason this option exists is to give you one more step of security and privacy. So basically if we launch, let me just launch Chrome, and let's say there was something really interesting here that I wanted my friend or somebody else to see, and I hand my phone over to them. What they can easily do, and a lot of people do this, is they exit the Chrome and they start going to your gallery, they start looking at your messages, they start looking at your phone, they start looking at stuff they're not supposed to look at, especially if they're friends. Now there's a way of preventing them from doing that. So if you give them the phone focusing on this particular application, they cannot exit that application if you enable app pinning and pin the window into place. And it's very easy to do. Let me show you how it's done, and then I'm going to show you how to make sure that it is enabled and it's also password protected or pin protected. So basically any app that allows for app pinning has this icon at the bottom. So if I go to Chrome here and if I pull this up, you'll see that little pin symbol, and if I tap that pin symbol, that app gets pinned into the window. So if I tap this, boom, this app has now been pinned. And if I give this app to somebody else, they can't go to the home screen at all. As you can see, it's pinned. And they cannot bring down the notifications panel. They can do nothing except look at the window that you gave them to check out. Once they give you your phone back, you can unpin this window by tapping and holding the back key and the Recents app button. So if I press and hold, boom, and then it goes back into the actual lock screen. So you do have to unlock the phone if you want to actually unpin a window. So it's completely secure. So let me go inside right away and show you how it is enabled. So what you want to do is you want to go to the settings. You want to go into lock screen and security, scroll all the way down and go to other security options, settings, tap it, and again scroll all the way down and you'll see the options that says pin windows. Now when you go into the pin windows, there's two options you can enable. First, you enable pin windows, that option gets enabled. And number two, you say ask for pin before unpinning. Now the good thing with this guy is if I have this disabled, and if I launch Chrome again, and let's say I want to pin this, as a matter of fact, let me just show another application. Let's try to pin the gallery app. So if I tap this, and if I pin this guy, without the pin unlock, if you press and hold this, the app does get unpinned without the need of a password. So what I like to do is I like to make sure if you do go here, other security settings, pin windows, ask for pin before unpinning. Okay, so if you enable this, then everything is secure. So this is a fantastic little feature, and a lot of apps are in fact compatible with this great feature. So let me show you one more time. We go over here, we go to gallery. Let's say I want to show this photo to somebody. I tap this thing here. I tap the pin icon. The window is now in fact pinned. And if I try to unpin this, or if the other person tries to unpin this, it's going to go back to the lock screen, locking the actual smartphone. Alright, so that is app pinning for your Samsung Galaxy S9. And of course, this feature is not a Samsung specific feature. It also works on many other up-to-date Android smartphones. And that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you learned a few new things in this video. Now make sure to subscribe to SAKITECH for more tech videos, and also give this video a thumbs up if it in fact helped you. And finally, if you do use Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, make sure to follow me on all at SAKITECH Online. And remember, link to this case is down below. Guys, have a fantastic day.